Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this webinar. My name's Arun, and I'm going to be talking to you about how to ensure your startup dental practice takes off in a year. Now, just bear with me. I've got a little bit of a cold that I've picked up along the way today, and it's been sniffling. So if I am a bit sniffly, I apologize in advance. This webinar, I've got quite a lot to get across tonight, but this webinar will be approximately half an hour to 45 minutes, maybe a little bit less, maybe a bit longer. I'm not too sure, but there's a lot to share. So we've got quite a few registrants, and we've had quite a few people who will watch it afterwards, I believe, as well. And it's kind of come at a time when there's obviously a lot of change going on in the world, uncertainty. But what we've seen in the last 12 months, so many startups are occurring. And so I think this is an opportune time to, if you're going to do a startup, it's still a great time to do it, but you've got to do it right, okay? And you've got to get the get the systems in place, get the right marketing, right finance, right, all these things. There's lots of things to get right. If you don't get those right, it's going to be a lot harder to make it work, especially in those first 12 months. So without further ado, I'm going to actually crack on and share some slides and crack through these. So bear with me a second. Hopefully this will work. And can I just just bear with me a second. Okay. Hopefully this is working. You can see my slides. I'm never too sure actually if this is working to plan. Just bear with me a second. I'm going to do it this way just in case there's a problem. So how to ensure your startup dental practice takes off in a year. So who am I? My name's Arun, and if you haven't heard from me before or seen a webinar of mine before, I'm the owner and the CEO of Samara Business Advisors. I've been working 20 years with dentists through Samara. I also own the Neemtree Dental Group with my wife Smita here down in London and Surrey. On the Samara side of the business, we are chartered accountants. We are M&A advisors, and especially in raising finance, debt finance, even equity finance. We also run the Samara Alliance, which is a buying group to help dentists buy items, products, consumables, etc., at lower discounted prices. And we are also very active in cybersecurity for dental practices and healthcare practices, which I'll elaborate a little bit later. Prior to coming into dentistry, as you can see from my grey hair, it's 20 years of working with dentists. That's not necessarily what's created my grey hair. It's my all the things I do. I wear many hats. I also have a great family, kids. My eldest one has just turned 18, and similar age to the business. And prior to that, I did train with PwC in London, and I used to work in investment banking beforehand. So I've got a real background, but the last 20 years has been working with dentists, dental practices, dental businesses, all shapes and sizes, large and small, UK and international. So it's a perfect storm we're in at the moment, okay? Real perfect storm. We've had COVID, there's war, inflation, energy rises, volatile stock markets, interest rates are rising and they're likely to rise. We've got another new government with Rishi Sunak just coming live yesterday. And on the horizon is the potential of a recession. So is this the right time to start up a practice? Well, there's never going to be a right time. There will always be some issue. But the way to succeed is to be aware of all these issues, but then at the same time, work a strategy to make it work for you to build a successful business. Now, The current Bank of England interest rate is 2.25%, and as you can see on this graph here, it's risen rapidly in the last few months as a result of good old Liz Truss's new mini budget. Hopefully, well, it's unlikely this rate's going to come down, and what's probably going to happen, because what we're seeing already is the Bank of England are trying to bring inflation down, and the only way to bring that down is by keeping interest or raising interest rates. So there's anticipation and expectation that this will rise to maybe 5 or 6% in the next year. These could go higher, these could go lower. It's all down to how Rishi and his team, I suppose, manage this. So getting on to setting up a practice, why setting up is a great option. Well, there's a few things. In my view, there are a limited availability of practice for sale in the UK. And those that are available, you don't necessarily know the full detail and the background of those businesses. It also gives you the scope to start with a clean slate. There's lower amount of capital required, so you have less borrowing, which is always good in a rising interest rate environment. You're not paying for goodwill. You can choose your location and team, and ultimately you have no history or baggage. So history or baggage of team or patients. So it gives you a clean slate, a real opportunity to create your own mark and business. But if you buy a practice, of course you buy patients, you buy goodwill. But as I said, prices have still remained high. And you have to think about, does the price you're paying equate to what your return on investment is and the risk of borrowing capital? And as with interest rates rising now, I anticipate values will actually drop. Now, some people will say, well, no, they will stay resilient. Well, the cost of borrowing is more expensive, in my view. Therefore, things will get tighter. It'll be harder to run a practice and the risk profile increases. Therefore, the value must drop. So there's a range of things. So what must you do to succeed in a startup? Well, I'm going to go through all of these points this evening, and I've just kind of summarized them here very briefly. First one is having clarity. Be clear on what you want to create. If you don't have it, don't do it. Location, again, a very important aspect of opening up a clinic. Get the design right. Build something that impresses and invites people to come. Be tight and careful with your finance. Spend on only what's needed. Raise the finance smartly. I've seen far too many people raise finance from areas where they shouldn't have raised finance from, and then they get in a real pickle. Know your numbers to the penny, especially in this environment. It's kind of paramount that you know how you're doing, know your numbers. Don't stick your head in the sand. Be aware of your figures and make some decisions based on the figures. Hire an expert team to advise you on your setup. And then when open, hire a great team to help you run it. Digital marketing, develop the skills of a digital marketer. All of these things we'll cover this evening. So let's crack on. So clear vision and plan. Well, if you're going to succeed in anything, you need to have clarity of vision and have vision of what you want to create. So one of the suggestions I always suggest for people to do is put all your ideas down on a paper. We always have we help clients do this. And we can get some, and if you need some assistance, we can always help you. But before you do this, before you find a location, I would always urge you to write it out. What's your clarity? What you're trying to create? So detail on paper what you want to achieve. This will greatly aid your location hunting, but also help you with structure and planning. Just excuse me a second. I'm just going to get a tissue in a second. And then the second bit really here is to have a plan. So when you put a practice together, build a practice, as I said, put your ideas down on paper, but then you need a business plan. And it's to help you with your clarity. It has helped you to get buy-in from other parties, say lenders, friends, family, to understand what you're trying to create. But it also helps you get financing. But it just helps, most importantly, give you clarity of thought. What are you actually trying to create? What are you trying to do here? So the business plan is actually really, really important. And if you've never written one before, you can ask for my team to help. We can have a template that you can use. And then in addition, there will always be financial forecasts that need to go along with the business plan. And that's something we can help with as well. Just bear with me a second. I'm just going to grab something before I move on to the next section, which will be all about location and design choices. Bear with me. Sorry about that. It's blasted cold. You can tell seasons are changing. So, going on to location and choice and design choices. So, I'll just show you some pictures of some practices that we've done ourselves over the years, and I'll give you a little bit of a potted history. So, back in 2004, we found this site in southwest London in Wandsworth, and this is what it looked like. It was an old GP surgery, and it looked pretty run down and grotty. Now, in terms of location, this is literally opposite the railway station in Wandsworth and gives visibility. So for us, that was a really important aspect, to have visibility, to get people to see the practice. We want people to walk by. And that was 2004. Equally today, I think that's so important. Be visible, really be visible, because that will just help with your marketing. We turn that practice into this practice, and these are some pictures of what the practice looked at in those days. We called it the Neem Tree. It looked great, quite different in those days. In 2004, quite fashionable, quite trendy. And we got a design team to help us, to help design it, to make it look great, to make it look appealing to people. Then in 2006, we took over this site. This site is, you can't see here, but this is actually was in Canary Wharf. And, excuse me, this was in a car park, and it was right under Barclays Tower. And I remember taking one of our team there, and they saw it, and I thought, oh my God, you're going to open up a practice here? This is going to be awful. No one will see it. It's terrible. You've got to have a vision. And that goes back to having that clarity of vision, which, as I talked about earlier. This is what we created. We created probably our busiest clinic we ever created. It was a small space, but we created a very high traffic volume practice. So that's one picture of it. That was another picture of it, and that's literally in the malls of Canary Wharf, if you've been there. And that was right next door to Barclays, under the Barclays headquarters in the world. Now, we sold this back in 2013, I think, to Bupa. And I was literally there about 2 weeks ago, actually. And it's not a dental practice anymore. It's actually a Ted Baker grooming salon. And I think Bupa amalgamated our practice, or the practice, into one of their other sites in the area. 2010, this was another site. This is Esher in Surrey. In terms of location, again, like the first one in Wandsworth, that was opposite a station. The one in Canary Wharf, again, a great location. That was in the mall, shopping, lots of people around. This is another great location. This is slap bang opposite a supermarket, Waitrose. And again, grotty building, but we had a vision, and we transformed it into something that looked like this. Appealing, big building, space to expand. And more recently, this is what it looks like now. I think actually this is maybe even this is a bit out of date. There's another picture that's come along. So a great location, busy road, everyone can see it. So again, customers come to us because they can see us. Then another practice we did was in Fleet Street, London. Main thoroughfare, near the law firms, can't miss it. Opposite, amongst all the shops. This was in 2015, 16, if I remember right. Is that right? Yeah, 2016. And we created another site. Again, appealing, visible, design-friendly, designer, appealing to customers, appealing to patients. Had to be. And that's how we continue to our brand. We did another site in Notting Hill Gate, which I haven't got the pictures on here. Again, literally next door to a Pizza Express, opposite Marks and Spencer, Simply Food, visibility. So the underlying theme here for all of these sites were two things: be visible and make sure they look good. That was the bottom line, because that will just help us. Because in our marketing, we won't need to spend so much on marketing because people can see us. So when it comes to suitable premises, you have to question, do you want ground floor or upper floors? Our view is always make your life easy. It might cost more, but be on the ground floor. People can see you. People can walk straight into your practice. Nowadays, it's Class E planning you need for a practice. Don't get hung up on freehold or leasehold. Get the right location right. That's more important. If a freehold is available and you can afford it and fund it, of course, no doubt, that could probably be a better thing in the longer term. But especially if it's your first practice, don't get hung up on freehold or leasehold. Just get the location right and build your business that way. Right. Next, excuse me, having a tight financial budget. Now, I spoke to my team this morning. I said I was doing this talk, and I spoke to Nigel and Dan, and they said that what they're seeing at the moment is more and more. Historically, we've always advised clients to open up with just one surgery kitted out, and what they're seeing now increasingly are more and more business plans and plans to kit out a second surgery or third surgery right from the start. They've been sold it by the salesman of the engineering companies, or they're being told that the lead time for chairs is 6 months. Well, our view is still try and only do one chair, and still wait, be patient, conserve your cash. In our first site in Wandsworth, we didn't start using the second chair until about 18 months down the line. So I'd just be very careful about what you're going to spend and stick to the plan. Keep it tight. In addition, excuse me, you want to avoid short-term borrowing. It's so important to avoid short-term borrowing. I'll come on to that in a bit more detail. But if you've got short-term borrowing, you're borrowing over a short term, your cash flow will be very difficult, high. A lot of cash will be going out. So you've got to be careful who you borrow from. And I'll talk about financing in a moment. And then also only purchase what you need. Don't purchase all the toys and CBCTs and scanners and everything all in one go. Plan it. Hit certain milestones, then purchase. Hit milestones, then purchase. Okay. Prove the business model. Don't rush into it, because otherwise you'll have a major cash flow issue. And in terms of when you're buying, shop around. I must stress there's big variations in buying the same piece of kit from different suppliers. So one of the ideas, and this is something we launched about a year and a half ago, is our buying group. And this is being so successful. We're helping people save money, whether it's on consumables for starting up a practice, or whether it's buying the kit, or whether it's the builders, or whatever it may be. Okay. Our Samara Alliance buying group, which is at samaraalliance.com, which you can check out later. You can join it. It's free to join if you're a startup. And there's no obligation to continue. But at the same time, it can help you save much money on all the opportunities that are out there for your practice. Okay, so check it out. Okay, so be tight, be careful when you're spending money, especially in this environment. Shop around. When it comes to services, that's different, because you'll get different levels of services on pricing. But in terms of buying a physical product, just help use that to use buying group to help you negotiate on certain items. Now, in the first 12 months, you'll also need to be raised. Well, before you even open up the practice, you'll need to raise the finance. Okay, and the question you have to ask is, how much will you need? So again, this depends on so many variables: the location, the finish and look of the clinic, the choice of equipment, how much building work needs to be done, if you're buying a freehold or a leasehold, any CQC requirements, how much money you may have saved. So how much do you need? The typical range we've seen in the last few years, anything between 100 and 300,000 pounds for a startup. It could be more if there's a lot of building work to be done, but you need to raise this money, and much of that can be raised from a bank. So my team, Nigel and Dan and others in the team, can help you secure this finance, subject to you having some kind of deposit there to fund it as well. Now, banks will always look at your earnings history as an associate, your ability to repay, your current financial setup. Are you saving, or are you spending lots of money? And ultimately, banks still want to lend, but it's essential to get the best deal. And not the best deal isn't necessarily always the cheapest deal. But most banks will back our clients when we do startups, because we've got a formula, and we work this through very, very successfully with a lot of clients over the last 10 years. I don't know how many startups we've done. We must have done over 100 startups in terms of financing over the years. So we've done a lot. So we've got a lot of experience. This is our kind of bread and butter in terms of raising finance for startups. When you get the money, you will always need business plans and forecasts, as I showed you earlier. You'll need to get someone to help you with these. So our team can certainly help. You'll need savings. You might get money from family. There'll be asset finance that you might need to use for equipment. And then at the same time, my team, as I said, Nigel and Dan, can be the brokers who can help you do this. We'll get you the most competitive deals. So you can reach out to Nigel and Dan on these email addresses below, or I'll have the details a little bit later. Excuse me. I'm just zooming through this tonight. So it's my cold, so I do apologize. Then we're moving on to knowing your numbers. It's so important to know your numbers. But before that, let's get the structure right. I've seen too often when people start a clinic, but haven't thought about the tax structure, and they end up paying more tax in the long term. So it's important to look at, should I be a limited company? Should it be a partnership? Should it be an LLP? Should it be a sole trader? All of these things need to be done. And if you're buying a property, should you be buying that in a company, in a sole trader? All these things need to be considered. Therefore, seek advice at the outset. And again, this is something that we do routinely, so we can always advise. In addition, you might be buying a building. It's VAT registered. Can you claim the VAT back? Possibly not. All these things you need to know about, and we can help you here. So get the tax structure right from the outset. Otherwise, it could haunt you further down the line, and you don't really want to be in that situation. When it comes to also knowing your numbers, before, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to keep a tight rein on the money. So it's so important to manage your cash carefully right from day one. So if you don't, in your forecast, if you don't do them, but you need to do them, is prepare 12-month rolling cash flow forecast. So you can always predict what your cash flow position will be in about 12 months' time. And if you need help, we can always help you there. But you need to prepare for any issues or downturns and make sure you have cash available or a suitable overdraft in place. So your working capital is available. Because if you don't have working capital, eventually you could run out of cash, and then you're in a real problem. And then you're going to have to borrow at extortionate rates on short-term debt and all these other issues. So cash is king. And that's why we always say, if you don't need to buy that second chair or buy that extra piece of kit at the moment, hold on to it. Keep the cash. Wait. Be careful. Plan it. Then in terms of knowing your numbers at the same time, you need to, from day one, automate the accounting function, because this will provide you the information you need to see how you're going to run your business. Make it paperless. Use AI technology with a systemized workflow. It will save you time and money. And this will get you ready for Making Tax Digital, which is coming over the next few years. And Making Tax Digital is effectively going to be where you, as a business, will have to report your numbers, not annually, but quarterly. It's going to be a bit of a nightmare, but everyone's going to have to do it. So if everything's cloud-based, everything's using technology, it's essential you do that at the beginning. Don't do it halfway down the line. Get it in place now. And the way to do that, well, we do this. We're doing this for a lot of clients at the moment and setting it all up to make them all digital. We use HubDoc, which is effectively some scanning software which scans all the documents that you have, say, from your suppliers at DD or Henry Schein or whoever you may be using, or Rights. All that's captured. And that all goes into Xero, which is our online cloud-based accounting system. And then our team process that, do the bookkeeping, and make sure that you get management information for you, which then ultimately leads into preparing the annual accounts at the end of the year. Now, I cannot stress how important this is. This to me is paramount, because this will then help you know your numbers, track your performance, and then at the same time, make good decisions from this information. Because if you don't have the information, you can't make the decisions. And then it also highlights to you that you can't put your head in the sand. You've got to really be aware of all the numbers and make good decisions. And as I mentioned, Making Tax Digital is coming, and it's the government plan to make everything digital for tax. So you won't be able to send your papers in a shoebox or to put anything on paper. And from April 2024, for sole traders, everyone will be following the tax year rather than the accounting year. And everyone eligible has to be on Making Tax Digital. This means every quarter you'll be making some type of return. At the moment, they won't be asking for you to pay your tax quarterly, but I can imagine maybe in a year or two's time, as the government's wanting more money in from cash and tax and everything, they'll be asking, you know what, pay your tax early. Don't pay it in January. Pay it over four periods over a year, which will then be a real wake-up call to all these businesses. Rishi Sunak is broke, or not, he's not broke. The country's broke. Rishi Sunak wants your cash. He's going to do it. And this is probably something he's going to do and change, much to our detriment. The right team. Again, there's so much I can talk about here, but I'm just touching on it today. When you start out in those first 12 months, you need a great accountant. We can help there. We're well versed in accountancy for startups. We've seen it, done it. I've done so many of our own. We know what to do. You need a finance guy, someone like Nigel or Dan and my team who can help you get the best deals, financing available. You need a commercial agent if you haven't already got one to help you with that practice you're purchasing, to help you negotiate on the lease. Builders, engineers, CQC help, lawyers. All of that's before you even start trading. And then obviously when you start trading, you'll still need an accountant. You'll still need someone to do your payroll. You'll still need someone to do all of those financial aspects, bookkeepers. Again, all of that can be done under our umbrella at Samara. But then in your own team, receptionists, nurses, other clinicians with great expertise. And you'll need people who will support you in the toughest hour. Not necessarily people working with you, but your spouse. Because it won't always be easy. It'll be tough at times, and you're thinking, "Oh my God, what am I doing here? Why did I start this business?" When things don't go to plan. But it's essential you get the right people on the bus, and then you start driving forward. You are the leader. So if you are the leader, you have to pick the right people, and if they're the wrong people on the bus, you move them off the bus. Remember that. Digital marketing. Wow, where do we start? But again, I've just got a couple of slides here. When we started out in 2004, we held a toothbrushing class outside the Wandsworth practice. In 2004, I remember creating our first website using Microsoft Front Page. Very rudimental, but it worked. 2005, we started Google Pay-Per-Click. 2005, we started doing some postings and writing blog posts. 2006, started doing banner ads and press adverts. Things have changed a lot now. Now in 2022, we kind of really focus on three things. That's it. We have a website which is fast, mobile friendly, and it's fast. Speed, to me, is everything on our website. And we'll be rolling out another website or new updated version in the next 3 to 6 months. We also do optimized Google pay-per-click ads, PPC, the ads you see at the top of Google. We do that, and we do that heavily. We used to do Facebook ads. Stop that. Don't do that anymore. Doesn't work. That's what we find. We used to do social media posting. Used to do that maybe 3-4 years ago. Don't do it anymore. Waste of time, waste of money for us in our business. I know some people do it very well and they're very much on social media. I'm probably of a generation, maybe a little bit, I've never been particularly interested in social media, so we haven't driven that across the business. But I know some clinics that do it very successfully. But for me, it's about return on time, and that's very time intensive to do social media posting. We focus heavily on writing posts and on SEO and optimizing our sites and pages for SEO. We've done videos in the past, but we haven't done much lately, and I don't think we'll be doing that. We literally do no offline marketing. We don't do ads. We don't do anything, okay, in papers or magazines. We did it in the past. We don't do it anymore. So we focus really on SEO and pay-per-click plus a super fast website. That's all we focus on, and we do it bloody well, okay? And we can do it better. Our SEO is good. Our pay-per-click is very good. Our website is good. It's a bit dated, and we're going to update that again and refresh it as we always do. So mistakes I've seen by practices, though, I've seen a lot of mistakes over the years. First mistake, wrong location. And by that, once you've signed that lease, it's game over. It's difficult. So you need to be making sure you've got that location right. Another one, they spend too much money at the outset and create this beautiful clinic, but there's no one in there. Hence, they have cash flow issues. People have personal outgoings such as school fees and big mortgage, etc., which drains the business of cash quickly. I've seen people perform dentistry they should not be doing, which leads to GDC issues because they don't necessarily have the experience or the expertise, but they like the idea of the money, but then problems arise. They have poor branding and marketing, or they have the wrong offering to the wrong demographic. And ultimately, they have poor leadership and team management, i.e. they build a business around one person, i.e. themselves, not a team. And that's really important that you don't do it. You build a business around a team, because one day you might not be working in that clinic. One day you might get sick. One day you might want to go on holiday. Don't build the business around you. Build it around a team. So success comes, as I've said, comes from a clearly articulated vision, a leadership style that encourages input from all team members, consistency of offering, managing your money effectively and keeping a close eye on the numbers, measuring the effectiveness of your marketing, and ultimately a passion to deliver a great service of clinical care to your patients. So going back to this original slide, so what must you do to succeed in your first 12 months? I've kind of gone through all of these very, very, very quickly in this half an hour, but you've got to have clarity. If you don't have that, don't start. Get a clear vision of what you want to achieve. Then location, choose that right location, find that location. That will help you in those first 12 months because people will see you, and that door will remain open because people will come through that door. Design, make it look good, make it impressive. You don't need to spend lots of money, just make it appealing, make it contemporary, make it modern, but make it appealing. At the same time, you can do all that, but you need to run it on a tight financial budget. Spend money only on what is needed. Don't be tempted on the latest gadget. Spend what's needed. Obviously, you need to comply and make sure you see compliance, but only spend on what you need. Raise it money smartly. Don't do short-term debt. Please don't do short-term debt. Do get a proper asset finance deal and a loan from the bank if you need the cash, and talk to my finance team. Don't go down that route, because I've seen too many people get funding very quickly and then realize, oh my God, I'm paying extortionate interest rates and they're hemorrhaging cash. So get that right. As I said, raise smartly, finance smartly. Know your numbers. So get zero, get the whole workflow for accounting in your practice slickly done and working from day one. Don't wait till the practice is open 6 months. No. Do it from day one. It'll make your life so much easier, and it will save you money and it'll save you time over the long term. We can help you there as well. Hire an expert team to help you advise you on your setup. And then when you open, hire a great team to help you run it. So from the professional advisors, you need accountants, you need lawyers, you need commercial finance brokers. We can help you with all of those. Once you open, you need to make sure you still got a good accounting team who can do the payroll, who can do the bookkeeping, who can do the accounts, who can advise you on tax structures, everything. Again, we can help you there. And at the same time, help you save money through the buying group. And at the same time, in your own team, you need to think, okay, who have I got that I need? I need a good PM. Do I need a manager? Do I need nurses? Do I need receptions? You probably need all of them, okay? But try and hire the right people. And then finally, digital marketing. You need to become digitally savvy. You might need to, again, hire a team to help you do this. We can help you do this. We have a team of digital people in our team that can advise and suggest and help you build the websites, help you do the SEO, help you do pay-per-click if required. So we can help. But all of that's important, but expect to work hard. Okay, this isn't going to come on your plate. It's not going to be easier. It's going to be bloody hard work. So if you're not ready for hard work, I'd say don't even start the practice. Okay, stay as an associate and continue at doing that. But if you're up for the challenge and you're willing to put the effort in and they're willing to work hard, it will work. It will work. Okay, as you're smart people, you will make it work. So that's kind of a summary of all those things to make it a success in the first 12 months. Been talking for 35 minutes. So just a last little plug here. And if you've got any questions, do please fire them away if you need to. I'm happy to answer any. But before I crack on, let me go back to my slides. If you're in the market for a new accountant or advisor on any of these issues I've talked about tonight, for buying group, for accounts, for raising finance, for anything really, we can help. We're accountants for over 500 dentists and dental practices. We have the buying group, the Samara Alliance, which will save you money. We can help you raise finance for the startup, the assets and the acquisition. We run a number of events over the years, and there's one that's coming up in January. And we also involved heavily in cybersecurity solutions. Now, protecting your business data, I see that as a major threat to many, many dental practices, because cybersecurity is never really thought about in a practice. And there's so many weak links in a practice. We see it in our own practices, hence we've devised our own cybersecurity solutions for practices. We have our boot camp, which is in January the 24th. It's online. All the details are on our website. Setting up in practice boot camp. Please book that if you're serious about setting up a practice or if you need some help. And even if you might have set up a practice, we'll be covering a lot of aspects, including myself and Smita, talking about some of the things you need to be doing to make it work and succeed. And then finally, if you have questions or need some help, we have a very busy diary. So we run virtual consults to clients across the board. So just drop an email or go to our website and you can arrange a time to book a free call. In the evenings, we do lots of evening calls as well. You can book a call with me, my colleague Gagan for the accounting side, Nigel and Dan for finance, and Gurpreet for the buying group side of things. On that note, I would like to say thank you. I hope you've found it of use. You've enjoyed the webinar tonight. It's an exciting time and it's an interesting time. I think there's what we're seeing, I think, in terms of buying practices, people are buying practices still, but things might slow down a little bit, I think, and prices might drop. But the desire to open up your own clinic, and me, if you've got the resilience and the hunger to do it, I'd always say set up as to buy. You can create your own thing. It's always a lower investment level. And if you're ready for hard work, you'll make a real success of it. So on that note, after 40 minutes of talking, I'd be delighted to hear any questions if you need anything. Okay, I've had a question here. If I want to say, what services can you offer me apart from accounting? The other, if I'm on a tight budget, is it better to set up or buy? Well, in terms of services, we can help you raise finance. We're commercial finance brokers. We will be able to raise finance for assets, for acquiring a premises, all that type of stuff. We can help you with our buying group, as I mentioned. We can help you save money, buying equipment, buying all those types of things. In terms of accounting, we can help you with that. We can help you with cybersecurity side of things. So there's a whole range of things, and I'd strongly urge you to look at our website. There's plenty of information on there. And if you haven't checked out our YouTube page, if you haven't checked out our learning center on our website, there's so much information on those pages. Please do. It's all free. Have a look at it. It's lots of advice from myself and the team, and we'd be delighted to share that as well. Okay. On that note, I don't think there's any other questions tonight. I'll get rid of my sniffles hopefully over the next few days, but reach out to us. We're here to help if you need anything. Thank you.